Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is the 26th of September 2019. It is Thursday and this is the second Smaulgld live stream of the day. If you missed it, Smaulgld patrons and Smaulgld Subscribe Star members, I have posted that into your accounts. It's also not yet on smaulgld.com, but it is up on YouTube and will be up on BitChute shortly. And tonight's topic is, do you really want to buy stuff with gold or Bitcoin? Now, the reason I thought of this was I was going to cover something else tonight, but I saw that there's a company called Glint. Now, what Glint purports to do, or I guess still does, but maybe won't be doing for much longer, is allows people in the United Kingdom to deposit cash and have that converted into gold. They'll store it for you, and then you get a card and you can spend it. That's something that appeals to some people, and I'm not quite sure what the appeal really is in that, and we're not sure why this company, Glint, has now put itself into administration. Administration is, I guess, the equivalent in the United Kingdom to bankruptcy, but they didn't even give a reason for their putting themselves into administration. And Financial Times reporting gold app Glint collapses just months after fundraising. This does highlight one of the issues with third-party storage. And this is Glint Pay, I think is the name of the company. There they are, the gold currency. And it raised in my mind, why would somebody want to spend gold? Why would somebody want to spend Bitcoin if indeed they think it's digital gold? We're going to get into that. But let's step back. And then we're going to get your thoughts on this, because I think a lot of people say they want something, but they act like they really don't. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. A lot of people want to have a gold standard. A lot of people want to spend their gold, they say. Or a lot of people want mass adoption of Bitcoin. But they don't act as if they really want that. They want that for everybody else, but not for themselves. Now, if you think about that, if you want something for everybody else, but not for yourself, don't you think that other people are thinking exactly the same thing? So what I mean is, you want everybody to spend Bitcoin, you want everybody to spend gold, but you don't want to spend it yourself. Okay, do you think other people feel the same way as you do, or you think you have some type of unique perspective what you want to have? They may want the same thing, but they don't want to spend it either. All right, let's step back, and I want to give you a very brief background of why we don't have money today and why we used to have money. So gold and silver, many people say are money, period. Well, clearly, I will say and agree that gold and silver once were money, and they literally were, not literally, but they actually were, I think, the perfect money, and they've been superseded in some aspects. So right now, I don't think we have a money. I don't think gold and silver currently are money. Here's why. Gold and silver came about as money because they were desired commodities. They were durable. They were fungible with each other. I mean, you can break them up. They were divisible. They were acted as a medium of exchange. They were widely accepted. And they were a unit of account. That's your traditional definition of money. And gold and silver, because they had those characteristics, were not only good as a store of value, but were good to use to pass around because everybody else recognized their value, and they were easy to transfer. Well, what became a better way of transferring gold and silver was gold certificates. And the certificates themselves were actually better than gold in one respect, in that you didn't have to carry around piles of gold. You didn't have to carry around silver. You had silver certificates. I don't think they were as widely disseminated, if at all. So when people had gold certificates, the risk there was, just like we see with this Glint, and I don't know what happened with them, but it's possible that there may not be equal amounts of gold behind your gold certificate. But it was more convenient, and it was a lot easier to transfer wealth through a piece of paper than it was to transfer the gold itself. You didn't have to run the risk of getting robbed. And then after paper came about, we started to move into things like checks and credit cards. And then digital became better than paper. When I say better than paper, what I mean is that You don't have to carry the paper around. The paper can get lost. But with digital, you can transfer the paper or the value behind the digital representation a lot further, a lot faster. So digital payments became even better than paper payments, which became better than physical specie payments, at least from the perspective of being able to transfer value quickly, conveniently, easily, and over long distances. Now, while gold and silver for thousands of years, there was nothing better than that. They hadn't invented the paper yet. This clearly was not a digital representation of anything. And so what you transferred was what you transferred. It was the ounce of silver, the 1/10 of an ounce of silver, the 1/10 of an ounce of gold. Everyone knew what it was, and it was the easiest way to transfer wealth. Lead was not easy to transfer. Other potential medium of exchange were not necessarily as desired, like seashells. They could break, and who wants them? Gold and silver clearly were, for thousands of years, the perfect medium of exchange, the perfect store of value. They were desired, they were divisible, they were fungible. But there have been improvements in medium of exchange and so on. Okay. That's where we are right now or up to date. We now have digital payments. A lot of it's unbacked. You have fiat currencies that are in digital form. You now have Bitcoin in digital form. And now you have this concept, hey, hold on a minute, don't criticize my asset gold because you can spend gold too. And companies like Gold Money and this company Glint say, hey, all we're doing is we're bringing gold into the 21st century. You give us your money, we'll store the gold, and now you don't have to carry the gold around, and it's just as convenient to spend your gold as it is to spend fiat currency, as it is to spend the digital currency, a cryptocurrency, because we're going to give you a card, or you can have it on your phone, and you can pay with your gold. But there's a problem with that. Who wants to use their gold to buy stuff? People used to want to use their gold to buy stuff because it actually represented the value, and you can actually hold it in your hand, and you can actually use it. Well, today, a lot of people say, if you don't own it, you can't hold it, you don't own it. Okay. But most people who hold gold and silver, they want to hold it. They don't want to give it away. They don't want to spend it. They say they want to spend it. They say they want to spend it because they want to show and prove that it can be used as a medium of exchange. Well, why do you want to prove that? And I think the reason people want to prove that is because they've been upstaged by other types of currencies that are more convenient. And what they're saying is gold and silver can be just as convenient as the dollar, can be just as convenient as any other currency, and including Bitcoin. All we have to do is put our trust behind a company like Glint Pay or Gold Money, and now we can spend the money, just like Mario Draghi, just as easily with our gold and our silver, presumably. But do people really want to spend the money? They really want to spend their gold and silver? Well, I've spoken to a lot of gold and silver holders, and they really don't want to spend. They want other people to spend it because they think other people spending it gives it value, but it really doesn't. Actually, if you spend your gold or you spend your silver, you're actually selling it. You're dumping it on the market. And most people believe the reason they hold gold and silver is not to spend it. They want to hold it for a long period of time, so eventually they can cash it in for fiat gains. Most people. Some people still want to just hold it forever. I don't know why. Or pass it along. That makes sense. It is a store of value. But that value, at some point, most people do want to unlock the value. I think if gold went to $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000, the reason people get all excited about that is not that their gold holdings are any larger. It's their fiat value is larger, and they think at that point, well, now they can buy a house, they can pay off the mortgage, they can take a trip, whatever it is, and they're going to spend the fiat. Now, it may be convenient to be able to have this card where your gold is, and if the price of gold goes to $10,000, well, now you can spend it. But this idea that people want to spend it day to day, there's no reality in that. And it's the same. Now, let's move over to Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin fanatics are probably even more, I would say, deranged than the gold fanatics. Because in both instances, if you're a true gold bug or a true Bitcoin maximalist, you actually believe that your asset can do everything, should do everything, and you want people to use it the way you think they should use it, not necessarily the way you use it, and you think everything that your asset has is a value add, and therefore it should be. They are making this very hard for me, this YouTube stuff. I really do not like this. I got cut off again. The only reason I knew it, I was staring at the screen when it happened. Okay. Now, and usually what it does is it interrupts my train of thought. I was talking about Bitcoin maximalists and somewhat of a derangement that they have, that somehow they believe that Bitcoin is like digital gold. In fact, it's digital gold and it's better than gold because it's digital. Okay. Now, what we know is that good money drives out bad money, and that if people have something they think is valuable, they're not going to spend it. What they're going to spend is the less valuable asset, which would be the fiat currency, the dollar. A classic example of this is if you're in Venezuela and you happen to have bolivars and you know they are depreciating, and you know that if you don't spend them today, they'll be worth half as much tomorrow. Well, then what you're going to do is you're going to spend the bolivar, and you're going to hold on to your dollars. Makes sense? Similarly, those people who hold on to other assets like gold or Bitcoin, and they believe that those assets are stores of value, they are not looking to spend them. If they have dollars, they're going to spend those first, just as somebody who has bolivars is going to spend those before they spend their dollars. Now, why do people who hold gold and have Bitcoin think that they need them to be spent? Well, because they think that they're going to be valuable if people spend them. And one of the things we have this Glint Pay here, and we have gold money. We have other companies that want to put gold on the blockchain, and then it's all going to work. And that'll make gold just as valuable, if not more valuable, than Bitcoin, because it actually is worth something. It's intangible. But the problem with that argument is, first of all, no one really wants to spend gold. And in order to make it spendable, you have to then hand it over to a third party, and then you have to trust a third party, and then you have this oops that we see with Glint. Now, what Glint is saying is, well, the customer funds are still safe, although they haven't really given any reason why they are going into a administration right now. But they say that your funds are secure and segregated. There's full reserve at the Lloyds Bank in London. Your gold is really your gold. It's physical gold bullion. It's illegally allocated to you, stored in a vault in Switzerland. And we hear gold money say the same thing. I mean, James Turk would mention that, in the event of a bankruptcy, not that we're planning on it, but that gold you have legal title to. Okay, but legal title is, again, not the same as holding it in your hand. And again, the reason you give it to them is not necessarily to store, but maybe there's this element of, well, you want to spend it. Okay, but I'm not sure that that's a big attraction, because we're not seeing these companies take off, and we're seeing a company like Glint actually go down, it appears. But let's move over to Bitcoin. Same thing. There are people out there that are working night and day and tirelessly to try to get Bitcoin to be, quote, massively adopted. They want mass adoption of Bitcoin. And why do they think that? Well, they think that if you have mass adoption, there's going to be some massive valuation increase, or maybe they think it's the way of the world. I don't know why they want that. But actually, mass adoption means mass selling as well. So if you really want your asset to go higher, you don't want a lot of people selling it. Now, there are certain, I think there's a sweet spot. There are certain currencies that actually benefit from being used. I don't think gold gains its value because people use it as a medium of exchange. In fact, gold has gone up since the gold standard went away because people hoard it, not because people are using it and people are spending it. Bitcoin, same thing. The massive rise in Bitcoin over the last 10 years has not been because of the massive adoption of Bitcoin that people are using it. It's because For the most part, Bitcoin maximalists and others say it's digital gold, that it's rare, it's a store of value, it's limited in issuance. They talk about stock flow is going to be eventually better than gold, and you can spend it. Now, there is an advantage to a Bitcoin is that it was actually made to spend, although you can argue that gold was created by God and made to spend once people started realizing they can cut it into small pieces and coins and so on. But Bitcoin actually is spendable in its current form, but it's not universally accepted. It requires a bunch of electricity, a bunch of devices, a bunch of processors. Yeah, you can do peer-to-peer, but for the most part, it's not widely accepted. So why is Bitcoin worth so much? Because one day a lot of people are going to be using it? I don't know. Institutions are not interested in buying Bitcoin so they can spend it, so they can buy coffee. They're interested in it because they think it's going to go higher, that it's a store of value. Now, there's some that don't believe that. I'm explaining where I think the value that Bitcoin has is based on a certain perception by a certain group of investors and hodlers and Bitcoin maximalists and whatever that think that the value of Bitcoin is that it's digital gold and it needs to be stored and held and so on. Well, the parallel to gold there, if you want to make that parallel, and it's a valid one from that perspective, if they actually believe that it is a store of wealth, well, then you're not going to be spending it. And why do you want people to spend it? Well, I think it's because, as I said at the outset, people think that if you're spending spending Bitcoin or gold, that somehow it has more value. I don't think that's the case. I think the dollar has value because people spend it. The dollar's actually in the sweet spot where a lot of people use it. There's a lot of demand for it, but it's not a store of value to the point where people want to hold on to it and just hodl it. The dollar's value is that it's in that sweet spot where no one really wants to amass a lot of cash. They don't mind holding a lot of cash, but they don't really expect it to appreciate. In fact, they probably expect it to do a little depreciating. But it is, in a way, the modern equivalent of a perfect currency because, and you can say, oh, we know what's behind it and there's all the debt. Well, talking about right now and for the last 50 years, the reason I say it's been a perfect currency, as good as you can get, is the amount of people that are willing to take it, use it, spend it, hold it. It's bigger than anything else on the planet right now. That doesn't mean it's better than gold or it's better than Bitcoin, but for what it is, as a transactional currency, you don't need gold money, you don't need glint, you don't need Bitcoin in order to transact. The easiest way to transact today, I don't care how many videos you watch of someone holding up a phone to somebody else's phone and trading their Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever it is, or their gold money or their glint. The easiest way still is through dollars. That's what gives the dollar's value. But the dollar itself is not a store of value and you don't expect it to appreciate. So I'm not sure why people think that the adoption, now you got Square Crypto. The product we're focusing on is Bitcoin. There are people who like Bitcoin, think it's gold, think it's digital gold, think it's the rarest thing on the planet, and yet they are encouraging people to spend it. Of course, they're not spending it. They think that if people spend it, somehow it's going to become more valuable. I don't think so. And here you're seeing this person at Square Crypto. There's a lot that needs to be done before we reach mass adoption. Well, if it reaches mass adoption, it'll probably have a stable value. Won't be deemed a store of value. It'll be something more or less like the dollar. But the reason that can't happen is because there's a limited number of them. Now you say, well, that's great for the price. Sure it is. But why would the average person want to go out and accumulate Bitcoin just so they could spend them? It really doesn't make any sense. The reason people are accumulating Bitcoin right now are people actually believe it is a store of value and speculators. They're not buying it so they can spend it. What would be the good of that? Now, there are some people for some transactional currencies, more like Dogecoin or Litecoin, or the value of the proponents of those coins are that its value isn't that. It will be spent. And that will give it value because people will take it on. They'll hold it. They'll know that it's not necessarily going to go up tenfold, but they feel that you can use it, trade it. It'll probably go up, which may give it some advantage over the dollar so that you can spend it if it's easily spent. there's a case where which the Bitcoin maximalists don't understand, is that there's a use case that's different. What they want to believe is that Bitcoin does everything, and gold, but want to believe that gold can do everything. There really isn't a market for, if you think gold and Bitcoin are the ultimate stores of value, there's no reason why you'd want to spend it, and there's certainly no reason why you'd want to encourage other people to spend it. So that really is the question. All this work and effort going into trying to make Bitcoin spendable. Lightning Network, second layer, everything else is a shitcoin. We don't need this. We're all going to spend Bitcoin. BS, because they're not spending it. It's the same with gold. Gold can be just as good as Bitcoin because we can put it on the blockchain and glint and gold money, and we can spend our gold. But the reality is, I would imagine the market doesn't want to spend either of them. So what does the market really want? Is the market really clamoring for another currency to spend? Not really, because if you can spend the dollar, why wouldn't you not spend it? And you would say, well, it's not as good as store of value. All the more reason to spend it. Get rid of it. Get paid in it and get rid of it. Now, some people might say they might want to get paid in something else and then convert it into dollars to spend. That would make sense. But you see, that argues for why there might be, not even might be, I'm positive, there will be other cryptocurrencies that serve certain markets and certain investor and consumer needs. Stable coins will be a thing to a certain extent. Digital fiat currencies will serve another portion of the market. Coins that you can spend quickly and easily and maybe have some upside. There's going to be a market for that. But Bitcoin can't be everything and gold can't be everything. The days of a currency being everything ended with gold and silver. Gold and silver at one point there was nothing better to transact in. They were divisible, they were fungible, they were portable. You can carry them. There was nothing better than that until it was a little better to carry around paper because it was less bulky. But there was a downside, and you didn't quite know whether the asset was backed, the paper was backed. But what got better than paper? Digital. Wire transfers, phone use. That's all. They blow gold and silver out of the water. I hear people say, oh, they're not better. No, they're not better as a store of value, and there's a trust issue. I get all that. But as far as transacting, silver and gold are essentially the horse and buggy for transacting. That doesn't mean they're not stores of value. Now, when you add in Bitcoin trying to be a store of value, as a digital store of value, okay, take the analogy full on and say, okay, well, it's digital gold. I'll give you that. Okay, fine. Why do you want to spend it? Well, because we can and we don't want other bitcoins doing that. Doesn't make much sense to me at all. So I want to know what you guys think. Whether you think, A, that you want to spend, if you have gold or silver or Bitcoin, that you want to spend it. B, whether you want other people to spend it, but you don't want to spend it. Or whether it even matters whether it gets adopted or not. Now, this is particular to Bitcoin, gold, and silver. I don't think they're going to go any higher just because people can spend them more easily. I think other coins, other digital coins might gain value if they're accepted and spent more. But I'm not quite sure you can be digital gold or gold itself and add to the value of those two assets just by making them easier to spend and having more people spend them. All right, let's see what you guys are thinking in the comments. And let me pull up the fundraising. I got to do that. And there we are. You're going to stare at that. And I'll give you an example. Why? Oh, I'll just tell you. I probably get 10 to 1, maybe more, Litecoin donations than Bitcoin. Why do you think that is? Because people of Litecoin, they still send, it's not like they're sending large amounts. I mean, you can send $5 of Bitcoin. You can send $5 in Litecoin. That's about what the donations average. I've gotten a couple of bigger ones. But when people send a donation to me, they don't send me gold. Rarely do they send me silver. I've only gotten 2 silver donations. They will send cash. They will write checks. and they will send Litecoin. They will not send. I've never received gold, and I've only received, I think, Bitcoin once. And there's a reason for that. They don't want to spend the gold and the Bitcoin, 1 and 2. They really don't want to give up the silver. They're more than happy to write checks on fiat, send cash, and spend Litecoin. That should tell you that Bitcoin is not what people want to use. And I'll defy you. If you actually think Bitcoin is good to spend, to donate, have at it. There's it on the screen. I guarantee you no one's going to send it. Because they're storing it, they're hodling it. Litecoin, not a problem. People will send Litecoin. They'll go out and they'll just replace it. And they'll go out and they'll buy another Litecoin and then use that. People do not use Bitcoin for that reason. So the question is, do you want to spend Bitcoin or gold? And do you think if people did that, that somehow those assets would be worth more? Let's see what you guys are saying here. All right. What do we have? Live chat. Roger just joined us. All right. Phil is here. Phil McCain. Ann is here. I don't know how to buy with gold. Right. But the question is, Ann, do you even care? Do you want to spend gold? I mean, is it something, do you want to do it? And even if you don't want to do it, do you think if others did it, somehow it'd be more valuable? I'm not sure. Silver's even more difficult. They have silver eagles. That might not be so bad, she says. But again, do you have silver eagles so that one day you can go spend them? I see these kind of pet legislative projects. You get, some guy is a hard money guy in some state, and he forces the legislator to pass some law that allows and recognizes silver as legal tender, and then no one uses it. I mean, what's the point? Maybe for a tax reason it's a good thing to recognize it, but you could just eliminate tax on gold and silver. You don't have to go through that whole rigmarole. I mean, no one's really clamoring to spend their silver. The people that want this, again, that push for these types of laws, which I think are useless, are people who are into gold and silver. But they don't themselves want to spend it. What do they think? Other people are going to go out and buy gold and silver and spend it, and therefore that's going to make the price of gold and silver rise? Why? They already have a currency to spend. They don't need gold and silver. Oh, Jake Howitzer says, I hope we get to hear Mario Draghi tonight. I was going to do a cold open tonight and do it with Mario Draghi. How you spend the money. Everything you need, don't worry, you spend the money. The fiscal policy is irrelevant when the central bank can spend the money. We can put the bank deposits directly into the person's account, and then you can spend the money, just like we spend the money, except you cannot print the money. We printed the money and spent the money. You can only spend the money. All right, Fiona is here. Transferring now with long addresses is not easy. I don't know what that means. She's hodling. Jake Howitzer printed the money. You guys remember that. All right. Small dog, small doge. Yes, indeed. Coins AZ is here. Working Rageaholic. And you saw what happened, Working Rageaholic. I got cut off again. I'm talking and boom. YouTube shuts me down. All right. What else do we have tonight? Platinum to the Moon. That's Coins' favorite. Mario is here, says Jake Howitzer. Yep. Rough Fulak, we lost you, no audio. It happens all the time. When we get past the transition, says Ann, we'll be using our gold, silver, and cryptos. I don't know. I think that's pumper talk. The reset. Now everyone's going to use gold, silver, and cryptos. Tricky guy! All right. I'm going to take great pleasure in reading. Maybe I should read it in Mario Draghi's voice, or perhaps I read it like Bernie. I think we can go with Bernie. Tricky guy. Ready? Going to have super strong pockets to carry it all around town to do shopping. With a gold-backed currency, it would be better than Bitcoin. Yes, Lou? Agree? Or not enough metal supply. Now, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he's talking about the gold back. And if you're talking gold back, you're talking 1%. And we make sure that there's no, you know what? There's something I have to tell everybody, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. And if you don't understand this, then there's a problem. But hold on just a minute. I'm going to make a very profound statement, but I want you to see it in writing. And here it comes. It's coming. And here it is. I said this earlier the other day. I say billionaires should not exist. I'll say it again. Billionaires should not exist. There's too many billionaires in the world. There used to be too many billionaires and millionaires, and then I became one. So I think the millionaires are okay for now, but the billionaires should not exist. And I have a campaign that I'm working on. There should be no billionaires. We're going to tax their extreme wealth and invest in working people. Read the plan. I wrote the damn plan. All right, Tricky, let's see. That's Bernie. What does he else have to say? Anything else? Pay your fair share. Tossing Molotovs. Bitcoin to the next year, waiting to get back in. Can I spend Bulliver watches, says Coins AZ. Tossing Molotovs. Lewis, the main value of my Bitcoin, my opinion, is circumvent government capital controls. Yes, I do have that note. Now, hold on. Hold on. There is... That same thing is true for gold. I have written here that Bitcoin and gold's main value is not for an everyday transactional currency, but is because of it can avoid things like government censorship, and that gives them value as a store of value, because that is similar to silver when I talk about the dormant monetary component. That's what gold and silver and Bitcoin have. You don't need to spend gold, silver, and Bitcoin on a daily basis. But, as Ann was talking about, the transition, if there could come a point, either for you personally or for the society, where people will transact in those currencies. But on a day-to-day basis, today, that value is not really, what's the word? It's not valued. There's no premium on that. But you're absolutely right. All right. Philip Quinn. Hello all. Ho ho dirte coins for the lot. Gresham's law, the reason not to spend your gold to Bitcoin. Absolutely. But then why do people who own gold and Bitcoin insist that they want people to spend it, or working on things like this glint, and they want people to be able to spend their gold, or they want mass adoption so that people can spend Bitcoin? They think that's going to add value to it. Not quite sure it does. All right. Roger is here. Ron Paul's going to be at the Litecoin Summit. Is he going to say, end the dollar hegemony? Yeah. He's actually, it's amazing. He is actually a fan of cryptocurrency. He has been for the longest time. He's always been a gold fanatic. But he started to like Bitcoin around 2013, I think. 2013, 2014. Not in favor of, not over gold, but he has fully accepted that it's non-government, non-inflationary currency. Stacking assets. Probably Bitcoin if I had any, but not interested in spending gold right now. But you just answered your own question. Since you don't value Bitcoin, since you don't have it, of course, since you don't have it, you say, if I had it, I'd spend it. Yeah. But since you have gold, you're not interested in spending it. That's making my point. Trey says, hold gold to spend later. That's holding gold. That's storing it. That's not using it. Yes, eventually you want to spend it. But if you're not spending it on a daily basis, why would you want other people to spend it on a daily basis? The reason you're holding it is because you believe that it's more valuable than the other currencies. When paper is worthless. See, that's, again, if you believe that your gold is valuable now but will be more valuable in the future, you're not going to spend it. That's my point. Why would you encourage other people to spend it now? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you buy glint now or gold money now for the purpose, not for the storage, just for the purpose of being able to spend it now? Now you can say, well, I have it there so that when I do want to spend it, when the collapse comes or whenever okay, that's fine, but that doesn't add value to gold. The gold value is already there. I don't have a desire to spend anything else, says CoinZZ. I have US dollars. That's a fact, Jack. That's for most people. I agree with that. If I were to spend my silver or gold, says Roger, it wouldn't be on bread and milk, it would be on something much larger. Exactly. Most people who have stored or stacked or whatever, their gold or silver, are not looking for the day where they can go and buy coffee or milk or donuts or whatever they're going to buy with it. They're going to want to, as I say, pay off their mortgage, buy a house, buy a yacht, buy a boat, buy a Lambo. It's not going to be then the golden world of the Bitcoin maximalist world of people transacting in gold and Bitcoin. It's a fairy tale. I don't even know. It belies reality, what they're actually doing. They're holding on. And they're trying to encourage other people to do something that they don't do. And the other people don't have an interest in doing it. If anything, it'd be a lot easier to convince, quote, no coiners or people who don't understand precious metals to buy it, to hold it. Why do you need to tell somebody, go out and buy Bitcoin so you can spend it? And they say, well, why? Well, so you can buy stuff. And they say, well, I can already buy stuff. Yeah, but with Bitcoin you can buy. It's just like you can spend it. Okay. What is it that I'm going to spend it on? Well, there's a lot of places you can spend your Bitcoin. I know, but there's even more places I can spend my dollar. So why do I need Bitcoin? The real answer is because you think it's going to go higher. And that's the same with gold. So I don't get this. Spend your Bitcoin, spend your... Yeah, now Trey says I would encourage others to spend Bitcoin. And the reason he says that, from what I know about him, is he doesn't have Bitcoin. And he wants people, he doesn't care. But he wouldn't encourage anybody to spend gold. But you know who would encourage people to spend gold? The drop gold Bitcoin fanatics. They say, oh yeah, get rid of that stuff. The idea is my point is being made. If people think something is valuable, they're not going to spend it. That's how that works. They're not going to spend something that people think is valuable. If Bitcoin were widely accepted as a currency, it would be perceived to have greater utility and hence greater value. Not sure about that. Because does the dollar have the most acceptance around the world, Trace? I believe it does. Does that add to its value? I think it maintains its value that everybody uses it. The more people that use it, means the more people that are getting rid of it, the less people that are hoarding it. So if you're spending it, it means you don't think it's that important. So that's why I say the dollar's in the sweet spot where it has value because people spend it. I agree. That's the argument, Trace, that people think that if it was widely accepted, it would have more value because people accept it. But what if its value is in more people have it because there's not much of it and they want to hold on to it, and therefore it is like digital gold? You can't have it both ways. It could be, you're right. You could have a currency. It may not be Bitcoin. It could be Litecoin, could be Doge, could be any of these. Moreno, whatever. Rita Moreno. Is that the more it's used, that's what gives it value. But I don't think you can have a gold that's widely used. It's almost a contradiction. That's why the dollar is perfect for medium of exchange. It's not really a store of value. It loses a little money. But it holds on to its value enough, and enough people want it at any given point that you can spend it. But that's not going to go, the dollar is not going to go skyrocketing against gold or silver. But all the rumors of BTMs are greatly exaggerated. They're not rumors. There's only 5,000-6,000 of them in the world. That's not a lot of them, and they only dispense small amounts. But the idea is that is an adoption phase. The people see them, they use them. The best thing about a Bitcoin ATM from a merchant's perspective is you put the machine in the store. Curious George walks in and says, "What's that?" And he says, "It's a Bitcoin machine." I said, "What can you do? You can buy Bitcoin." "How does it work?" And you ask the guy, "You got $20? You got $40?" He says, "Yeah." You stick it in the machine. You stick it in the machine. Next thing you know, you're probably making a commission on the $40 of about $6 or $7. Then the guy says, "Okay, it's on my phone. What am I supposed to do with it?" And he says, "You can spend it here." Now you can see what the merchant's making out, because now he's going to get a sale he didn't get. He's already made $6, $7 probably on the commission on the Bitcoin ATM. Now the guy spends it in the store, and the guy gets the sale. So it's a win-win. That's why the machines are proliferating. It's probably not the best thing for the person who's sticking the money in the machine. However, these are the types of places that also have instant lottery tickets. Now, I would think that, think about an instant lottery ticket. You buy the ticket, it loses, and then you're done. You're out your $10, your $5, whatever you paid for it. You put $20 into a Bitcoin machine, all right, there's no winner or loser at that moment. It could go to $40. It could go to $100. Could be worth nothing. But you're throwing the money away when you stick it in the machine anyway, is the mentality. But from the merchant's perspective, it's a win-win. He's going to get the money back probably, and he's going to make a commission. He's actually getting a commission to sell you something. It's pretty good, I think. All right, Sean Mahoney. All right, I think that's it for tonight. I want to thank everyone for joining me, and we will see you tomorrow. Oh, and don't forget, send whatever you wish, or join the patrons, the Smaulgld patrons, or Subscribe Star Mug Club members, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.